Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you're somewhere comfortable, maybe dim the lights a little bit if you're driving. Well, maybe turn the volume up just a notch and, check the rearview mirror.
Okay.
Because we are heading into some weird territory today. I mean, we're going for a vibe that's a mix between a university lecture on quantum physics.
And a detective noir story.
Right. And a ghost story told around a dying campfire.
That is a very, very specific intersection of genres, but honestly, it fits perfectly for the document we're looking at today.
Yeah.
It really does. It captures the strange flavor of what we're about to discuss.
It really does. Because we are looking at a set of ideas that suggests your neighbor's bad dream might actually be the reason you woke up in a bad mood this morning.
And not just in, metaphorical way.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And we are also going to look at how a sticky, soggy beer label from a bar in 1965 might just hold the secrets of the universe.
It sounds absurd when you put it that way,
Yeah.
the beer label specifically. But when you look at the source material, it is genuinely one of those fascinating deconstructions of reality we have come across in a long time.
It is. It bridges that gap between the profound and the profane.
Exactly.
So let's set the stage properly. We are deep diving into session 193 of the early sessions, book 4 of the Seth material.
And the date of the record is Monday, September 27, 1965.
And just to add to the atmosphere, this was a scheduled session held at 9 p.m.
So it's nighttime in Elmira, New York. The traffic is dying down. The air is getting a bit cooler. It's the perfect time for high strangeness.
It really is. Now, before we jump into the deep end, and trust me, it gets very deep, I do need to make our standard disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
This deep dive is distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes. We are here to learn, to explore, and to question the nature of reality based on the text provided.
Right. We aren't here to tell you what to believe. We're here to tell you what the text says. And our mission today is pretty specific. We are exploring Seth's assertion, and it is a bold one, that thoughts and dreams aren't just these airy-fairy psychological concepts that live inside your skull.
Right.
He is arguing that they are electromagnetic chemical realities that physically change the world.
That is the headline for me. Thoughts are things, but not in a poetic, motivational poster way.
Yeah.
In a literal weight on a scale way.
Precisely. And then, to prove it, we're going to analyze what is called the envelope test, which in this specific session involves a Ballantine ale label.
I just love the contrast there. You have this high-level philosophy on one hand.
And a beer bottle on the other. It's perfect.
It grounds it, doesn't it? It shows that this magic or physics, whatever you want to call it, applies to everything.
Mm-hmm.
From the architecture of your psyche to the trash in your pocket.
It suggests that the laws of the universe don't stop at the church door or the laboratory door. They extend right into the dive bar.
So let's unpack this. We have to start with the setting. It's 1965. Jane Roberts is the medium speaking for the entity Seth. Her husband, Rob or Joseph, is taking notes.
And for this session, they have a witness, a woman named Lorraine Shafer.
And having a witness is important, right? It adds a layer of objective observation.
It does. It's not just a couple doing this alone in a room.
Mm-hmm.
There's a third party there verifying the events.
So, which brings us immediately to our first segment, the spooky synchronicities.
Or what Seth would probably call the clustering of consciousness.
This is where that campfire vibe really starts to kick in.
Oh, yeah.
This is the small world phenomenon on steroids. So Lorraine Shafer shows up. They haven't seen her in weeks. And she mentions just casually, oh, I was in York Beach, Maine recently.
And you can just imagine the room probably went silent.
Right.
Because Dr. Instream, another regular witness and participant in these experiments, had been in York Beach on Monday, August 23rd.
And Lorraine, who didn't know this, who hadn't spoken to Dr. Instream about it at all, had been there just a few days later on Saturday, August 28th.
Total coincidence, right?
Except Jane Robb's wife, the medium, had been using a photograph of herself at York Beach for a previous envelope test around that same time.
Exactly. You have 3 people intimately connected to this material, all drifting toward this one specific town in Maine within the same week. Totally unplanned.
They weren't coordinating vacations. They didn't have a group chat. They just
ended up there.
Now, most people would say, wow, small world, crazy coincidence. We say that all the time. I just ran into so-and-so. Isn't that weird?
But Seth doesn't really do coincidence, does he?
Not in the way we think of it. He comments on this immediately. He says, quote, "It seems that our friends are congregating about York Beach."
Thoughts are projected and all influences that extend from one personality to another.
Congregating. I love that word choice, like birds migrating. Or iron filings moving toward a magnet.
Precisely. And the analysis here is fascinating. Seth is suggesting that like-minded people, what we might call a cluster of consciousness,
Hmm.
aren't just sharing ideas intellectually. They're sharing a magnetic attraction. Their thoughts are projecting out and literally pulling them toward the same physical coordinates.
So because they were all tuned into the Seth frequency, or were just connected to each other emotionally, they physically drifted to the same spot on the map.
That's the implication. It's as if their shared mental state created a kind of gravity well in York Beach, Maine.
So you think you're just deciding to go on vacation. Oh, Maine sounds nice this time of year, but really?
You're being pulled by the electromagnetic wake of your social circle.
That is wild. I mean, it makes you wonder about every time you run into a friend in a random city. You think it's random chance.
It suggests there is no random. It's physics. Just a physics we don't understand yet. It's the physics of attraction, but on a macro scale.
It forces us to ask, do we choose our destinations, or do our connections choose them for us?
That's a haunting thought.
And speaking of haunting and physics we don't understand, we have to talk about the underwater cave. This is the part of the notes that gave me genuine chills.
This is the Seneca Lake connection.
Yeah.
This is a great validation story. It reads like a detective novel.
Hmm.
So to give everyone some context, in a previous session 192, which was unscheduled, there was a discussion about searching for artifacts in Seneca Lake.
Right. Treasure hunting, essentially. They were looking for something specific underwater. It's a very romantic, adventurous kind of notion.
Very. And Seth had given them a very specific, but also very cryptic clue.
What was it?
He mentioned a gas station near a cove, and he kept referencing the letters M, A, and C.
MAC.
He said it could be Mack or maybe a Mack truck. He wasn't entirely sure of the image, but the letters M, A, C were clear to him.
Okay, so MAC near a gas station at Seneca Lake. That's the psychic data. It's fragmented. It's incomplete.
So fast forward to the session 193. Lorraine is there, and she knows Seneca Lake very, very well.
And she confirms something, right?
She confirms something that Jane and Raheem didn't know. She says there is a Mack's boat livery on Seneca Lake.
Mack's boat livery, MACK.
It has a gas
It
station.
has a gas station attached to it and the location.
About 5 miles north of Himrod on the west side of the lake.
That is specific. That's not a cold reading guess. That's not a general, I see water.
It isn't.
Oh.
And it validates the spooky accuracy of the material before they even get into the philosophy.
Right.
It's one thing to give life advice. Anyone can say, love your neighbor. It's another thing entirely to see a gas station sign from a non-physical dimension and communicate the spelling.
It sets the tone for the rest of the session, because if Seth can see a boat livery 5 miles north of Himrod, maybe we should listen when he talks about the chemical weight of dreams.
If he's right about the gas station, he might be right about the universe.
Which brings us to the core philosophy of this deep dive, segment 2, the physics of thought.
And this is where we really have to throw out everything we learned in high school biology.
Totally. Seth makes a central argument here that completely flips the script on what a dream is.
He does. He states quite clearly, dreams and dream images are then projected by the individual in sleep.
All such projections have an electromagnetic and chemical reality.
Electromagnetic and chemical reality. Let's just pause on that for a second. We usually think of dreams as smoke, as nothing, just a movie playing in your head.
Yeah, we dismiss them. Oh, it's just a dream.
But Seth is saying, no, it's an object, it's a thing, it has mass.
I want to use an analogy here for you. Think of a radio wave. You can't see it. You can't catch it in a jar.
Right.
But it is physically real. It has energy. It carries information. If you have the right receiver, it turns into sound. Seth is saying a thought is like that.
That's a good analogy.
Mm.
But Seth goes even further. He implies it has a chemical nature. He says, it is well known that emotions have a chemical reality, but it is not generally realized that dreams also have the same sort of property.
And we accept that emotions are chemical, right?
Yeah.
We know about adrenaline, cortisol, dopamine. We know that feeling fear is a chemical event in the body.
Of course. If I get scared, my heart pumps, my palms sweat. That's chemistry in action.
But we usually think the chemical causes the feeling, or the feeling triggers the chemical inside the body.
Right.
Seth is saying the dream itself, the projection, has this reality. It's an externalized chemical event. It's not just inside you, it's radiating out from you.
Which leads to his point about telepathy.
The aha moment.
Telepathy isn't mind reading in some kind of magical sense. It's a chemical interaction.
Hmm.
If I have a strong thought, I'm generating a chemical and electromagnetic signal. That signal travels. If you pick it up, it interacts with your chemistry.
So if dreams have a chemical reality, then subjective experiences, things that only happen in my head, are actually objective on a microscopic level.
Exactly. There is no just in your head. If it's in your head, it's in the world. It's pollution or it's perfume, but it's real matter. It occupies space, or at the very least influences space.
And this leads to the part that really, really messes with my head. The body is molded by dreams.
Yes. Seth states that the personality reacts to dream experiences exactly as it reacts to physical ones.
Quote, "The physical body undergoes definite changes due to dreams."
Just think about the implication of that. Your
Yeah.
body does not discriminate between waking life and dream life.
So, if I dream that I'm running a marathon, my muscles,
Ooh, what?
they actually react.
Seth implies that chemically, yes, there is a reaction. You aren't just tired because you didn't get enough sleep. You might be tired because you physically exerted yourself in a different reality.
Your cells were firing, your hormones were adjusting to the stress of the dream.
Exactly.
This brings up the humorous take from our notes. So when I dream about eating cake, does it count chemically?
It's laughing. Seth implies, maybe. If the experience is chemically real to the personality, the body might just release insulin. The body prepares for the event it perceives. The brain sends the signal. Sugar incoming.
That is both terrifying and amazing. It means we are living two lives, a physical one and a dream one, and both are taking a toll on our physical bodies.
Seth says the individual could not exist in a physical universe if he did not also exist in the dream universe.
They're connected systems.
You can't sever them without breaking the sanity of the unit. He called it a disjointed pattern, not capable of maintaining balance.
So you need the dream state to chemically balance the waking state.
It's a closed loop. It's like a cooling system for a nuclear reactor. You need both parts to keep the core stable.
Okay, so we've established that dreams are real, heavy, chemical things. Now let's talk about what happens when those things start bumping into each other.
Right. Segment 3. The chilling interconnectedness.
This is where the privacy advocates might want to cover their ears.
Yeah. Mental contagion.
Seth asserts, one man's dreams affect another's, and that man is in turn affected by the dreams of his neighbor. And he clarifies this isn't a metaphor.
No, he says it is definite, realistic, and practical.
Definite, realistic, and practical. So, quite literally, my neighbor's nightmare is leaking through the wall.
Essentially, yes, because there are no boundaries between psychological units. We like to think our skull is a Faraday cage that keeps our thoughts in, but Seth says that's an illusion of the ego.
The ego draws a circle and says, this is me.
But the chemical reality says everything is fluid.
So we are constantly swapping spit, mentally speaking.
Electromagnetic pollution of the mind. That's how I look at it. We're walking through each other's exhaust fumes all day.
It really reframes the idea of mood swings. You know, you wake up and you're just grumpy. You don't know why. Nothing bad happened. You had a good night's sleep.
Right. You have no reason to be upset.
But maybe the guy in the apartment next door was dreaming about a divorce or a war or losing his job.
And you are chemically processing that projection beneath the ego's radar.
So you feel the emotion, but you don't know the source, so you claim it as your own. I'm grumpus.
When really it's, I am receiving a grumpy signal.
That is liberating, actually. It means not everything I feel is my fault. It kind of stops that self-blame cycle.
It is liberating, but it also creates a responsibility. Because it works both ways. What are you broadcasting?
Oof. Good point. If I'm stewing in anger all day, I'm basically smoking a cigarette in a crowded elevator. I'm polluting the shared psychic space.
Exactly. You are affecting the chemical balance of everyone around you, even while they sleep. You're responsible for your psychic footprint.
Wow.
And Seth touches on something else here, too. Dream locations.
Oh, this is the inception part.
It really is. Seth argues that when you dream of a location, that location exists. It has structure and form.
I have a structure and a form, although I do not exist in your space. That's the quote.
Just because it doesn't make up space in our 3D world doesn't mean it's not there. It exists in a different dimension of reality. It has validity.
So the house I keep visiting in my dreams,
Yeah.
the one with the weird staircase that I can never quite climb.
It's real. It's built out of electromagnetic mental energy. It has a location in the dream universe. And because you experience it, It has a connection to physical reality.
It's not a hallucination. It's a construction project.
A construction project that you're inhabiting
Right.
and potentially visiting each other's constructions.
It's a lot to take in, the idea that we are building worlds every single night.
Okay, let's ground this again. We've gone very cosmic.
Yeah, let's bring it back. Let's go to a dancing establishment in 1965. Segment 4. The experiment.
Yes, the envelope test.
But first, briefly, let's talk about Dr. Instream. Seth does a quick reading on him before getting to the main event.
Right. This is to demonstrate the remote viewing aspect of this. Seth just rattles off a list of impressions about Dr. Instream, who isn't even in the room.
He sees a railing, could be steel or wood, a letter from a place with high grasses, packages, twine.
Bad news and a telephone ringing right now.
It's a rapid-fire list, no hesitation.
Yeah.
And what I found really interesting in the notes was the traffic noise.
Oh, yeah. The notes mentioned that the traffic outside became really intrusive during this part.
It shows the blend of the trance state and the physical environment. Jane is in a trance channeling this entity.
But the biological organism, her body, is still hearing the honking cars, and it's annoying her.
It makes it feel very real. It's not this perfect, holy moment on a mountaintop. It's a woman in an apartment in Elmira, New York, trying to focus while trucks drive by. It adds a gritty realism to the whole session.
Exactly. But she pushes through it and gets the data.
All right, now for the main event. The Ballantine Ale label.
The juxtaposition here is my favorite part of the entire session. It's just delicious.
So here's the setup. Rob Jane's husband was at a dancing establishment on Saturday night.
A bar. Let's just call it a bar. A lively one, apparently.
A bar. He's sitting in the dark, probably listening to the jukebox, and he peels a wet label off a bottle of Ballantine Ale.
We've all done it. You're bored, your hands are busy, you just peel the label, and it comes off in one satisfying piece.
But Rob thinks, aha, I'm going to use this to test Seth. He slips the soggy label into his coat pocket. He doesn't tell Jane. He doesn't tell the friends he's with. It's a secret.
So fast forward to the session. Seth is speaking. He asks for the test object. Rob hands Jane the sealed envelope. She has no idea what's inside.
Now remember, Seth has just been explaining the chemical nature of the universe and the structure of reality. And now...
He has to psychically read a piece of trash from a bar.
And the results. Well, let's look at the hits. First, Seth says, variety of shapes and designs.
Which fits. An ale label, especially an old Ballantine one, has complex heraldry. It's busy. It's not some minimal design.
Then Seth says, connection with the fabric.
That's Rob's coat pocket. The label was wet. It was sitting in wool or cotton. It picked up that fabric impression. It was physically pressed against it.
Wood and a house.
This is interesting. The house is likely the House of Ballantine. It's a brand, the company. But the wood...
Yeah.
Rob was sitting at a table with a simulated wood grain top when he peeled it.
Ah, so Seth is picking up the history of the object, the environment it was in.
Exactly. He's reading the electromagnetic residue on the object. The table left an imprint.
Then we get the initials.
Robert. Robert Butts. Rob's initials. He was the one holding it. That's a direct hit.
And now for the best one. The sky symbol. This is where interpretation comes in.
This is fascinating. Seth sees a sky symbol. Now, if you look at the Ballantine logo, it's the famous 3-ring sign. Purity, body, flavor. 3 interlocking circles.
There's a disembodied entity, 3 circles in the sky.
Looks like planets. Sun, moon, earth. Or a planetary alignment. Seth interprets the geometric shape as a sky symbol. He's just seeing the form.
That makes perfect sense. He's seeing the form, not reading the marketing copy. He doesn't care about flavor. He cares about circles.
He's not reading the text. He's sensing the shape.
And then the Christmas connection.
This one is great. The label is red, green, and gold.
Classic Christmas colors.
Jane even mentions later that the XXX symbol on the label reminds her of Christmas. But chemically, visually, the impression is Christmas.
Because of the color spectrum.
Likely. The frequency of red and green together just reads as the concept of holiday or Christmas to the entity. It's like a form of synesthesia.
And finally, the date. Seth guesses 1965.
And the label actually says established 1840.
So, a miss.
Or was he reading the current year? The label existed in 1965. Rob touched it in 1965. The time signature of the event was 1965.
Oh, that's interesting. So the ink said 1840, but the electromagnetic energy was from 1965.
Exactly. It's the strongest signal, the strongest charge on the object
Hmm.
is the present moment from the person who handled it.
What's the takeaway here? Why does Seth even bother with a beer label?
I think it proves the point of the whole lecture.
Yeah.
Seth said everything has an electromagnetic reality, not just important things, not just holy relics. A beer label.
It carries the signature.
It carries the signature of the people and places it touched. It's a recording device. Every single object is a recording device.
So that piece of trash in your pocket, it knows where it's been.
And it knows who touched it, and it holds that charge.
That brings us right back to the start. We live in a soup.
A soup of chemical thoughts and electromagnetic dreams.
And we are more connected and physically affected by each other than we realize.
We are. We are constantly trading these chemical signals. We are molding our bodies with our dreams. And we are leaving our psychic fingerprints on everything we touch.
It really makes you think about the beer label test in a new way. It's funny, sure, but it's also incredibly profound. It means reality is sticky.
Sticky is the perfect word. Consciousness sticks to matter.
So, if this deep dive sparked your curiosity, please don't stop here. This was just session 193. There are hundreds more.
And we barely scratched the surface of what's in this one session. You really need to read the full text to get the nuance of Seth's voice.
Absolutely. And we have to give credit where it's due. This comes from the Seth material, which is published by the New Awareness Network.
And if you want to support the preservation of this material and get the books for yourself, please visit sethcenter.com. Specifically, look for the early sessions.
That's sethcenter.com/the-early sessions. Go there, buy a book. It's worth it.
It's an investment in your own sanity, really, or at least a way to understand your insanity.
I'm laughing, too. Now, before we go, I have a final thought for you to take away.
Let's hear it.
We talked about mental contagion. We talked about how you might be feeling your neighbor's dreams.
Right.
So, tonight, when you close your eyes, ask yourself, are you dreaming your own dream, or are you chemically processing the daydreams of the person sleeping next door?
And more importantly, what chemical signal are you sending back to them?
Are you sending them a nightmare, or are you sending them something sweet?
That's the question.
Something to mull over while you drift off. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Stay spooky.
And sweet dreams.
Okay, hold on. I can't just leave it there. I want to circle back to the York Beach thing for a second, because I feel like we breezed past the modern implications of that.
You mean the clustering?
Yes. Seth talks about like-minded people magnetically drifting toward the same physical location in 1965. York Beach. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have Instagram. They just drifted.
Right. It was pure intuition or psychic gravity.
So apply that to today. We have digital environments now. Does the same clustering physics apply? Are we magnetically drawn to digital spaces where our people are?
That is a fascinating question. Seth says thoughts are projected. If I type a thought and you read it, you are receiving the symbol. But are you receiving the chemical weight?
I think you are. Think about doom scrolling. You physically feel sick after a while. You feel heavy.
That aligns perfectly with the mental contagion segment. You are opening yourself up to a fire hose of other people's projections.
Electromagnetic pollution.
It's amplified. In 1965, you had to be physically near someone, or maybe read their letter, to catch their mental flu.
Right.
Now, you can catch the anxiety of a stranger in Tokyo instantly.
So the soup we live in has gotten a lot thicker.
And more toxic, potentially, which makes the defense mechanism Seth hints at so important.
Did he talk about a defense mechanism in this session? I missed that.
He mentioned that the self is a core of characteristic actions and reactions. He says we are more open to particular influences and will tend to ignore others.
Ah, so we have an immune system.
A psychic immune system. We filter based on emotional attraction. We let in what matches us.
That explains why two people can walk into the same room or the same comment section and have totally different reactions.
Exactly. One person gets angry, the other person laughs. You only catch the dream if you have a receptor for it.
So if I'm constantly picking up on my neighbor's anxiety, it's because I have a little bit of anxiety in me that's resonating with it.
Like attracts like.
Yeah.
It's the law of attraction, but explained through physics rather than magic. You are a radio tuner. If you're set to 98.5 FM, the anxiety station.
You're going to pick up every broadcast on that frequency. So the solution isn't to move away from the neighbor.
It's to change the dial.
Change your internal chemistry. Change your emotional state.
And suddenly their signal passes right through you. You become transparent to it.
I love that. It puts the power back in your hands. You aren't just a victim of the chemical weather.
You are the weather control station.
Let's talk about the Mack trick thing again. The Seneca Lake clue.
Oh, the underwater artifacts.
Yeah. I feel like we glossed over how weird it is that they were looking for artifacts. Like, what were they looking for? Atlantis.
Knowing the Seth group, probably.
Hmm.
Or just historical remnants. But the interesting part is how the information came through.
Right.
Seth didn't give them a GPS coordinate. He gave them symbols. MAC, a gas station.
It's like a game of charades.
It is. And that tells us something about how information travels from the dream reality to the physical one. It gets compressed, it gets symbolic.
So Seth sees the concept of Mack's boat livery, but he can't just say the address. He has to give them the sensory flashes.
Right. He sees the Mack logo, he sees the gas pumps, he throws those images at Jane. Jane has to catch them and translate them into words.
It's a lossy compression format, like a JPEG.
Exactly. And that's why you get MAC, maybe a truck, instead of 123 Lakeside Drive.
It explains so much about psychic intuition. You know when people say, I have a bad feeling about this, but they can't explain why.
They are getting the data, but they haven't decoded it yet. The chemical signal has arrived, but the intellectual translation is lagging.
So the gut feeling is the chemical reality. The explanation is just the brain trying to catch up.
Precisely. The body knows first.
Hmm.
Remember, the body is molded by dreams. The body reacts before the ego does.
That is actually really useful advice. Trust the chemical reaction. If
Yeah.
you walk into a house and you just feel sick, get out.
Even if the realtor says it's a great deal, your body is reading the electromagnetic signature of the walls.
Maybe the previous owner had a lot of nightmares in that house.
And those nightmares are still hanging in the air, like smoke.
We are back to the ghost story vibe.
It's unavoidable. When you talk about thoughts having mass, you were talking about hauntings. A haunting is just a thought that got stuck in a room.
Not laughing, I am never going to look at an empty room the same way again.
Good. You shouldn't.
Let's pivot back to the beer label for a second. The Christmas connection.
The red and green.
I find it funny that Seth, this ancient, wise entity, knows what Christmas is.
Well, he knows what it means to us. He can read Jane's mind. He knows the cultural symbols.
But he interpreted the colors as the feeling of Christmas.
Or the concept. Red and green equals festival of winter, celebration.
It shows how associative the mind is. We don't see raw data, we see meanings.
And that's a key point of the session.
Yeah.
We don't experience the world directly. We experience our reaction to the world. We experience the chemical cocktail that the world triggers in us.
So Rob looks at the label and sees Valentine Ale. Seth looks at the label and sees planetary symbols, wood grain, pocket fabric, and Christmas.
And both are true.
But Seth's view is richer, more layered.
It's more holistic. He sees the invisible history of the object, not just the printed ink.
Imagine if we could see that. Imagine if you could pick up a coin from the sidewalk and see everyone who ever held it.
It would be overwhelming. You'd go insane.
Disjointed pattern, not capable of maintaining balance.
Exactly. We have filters for a reason. We see the beer label because that's all we need to see to drink the beer. If we saw the molecular history of the bottle, we'd never get around to opening it.
We'd be too busy watching the movie of the truck driver who delivered it.
And the factory worker who made the glass.
So ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is functional. But Seth is trying to peek behind the curtain to show us that the function isn't the whole reality.
It's like looking at the code of the Matrix. You don't want to see it all the time, but it's cool to know it's there.
And it's useful to know that you can edit the code.
How do we edit it?
By changing your dreams, by changing your thoughts. If thoughts are things, then you are a manufacturer. You are a factory.
So make better products.
Make better products. Don't pump out smog. Pump out, I don't know, fresh air.
Good vibes.
Scientifically speaking, yes.
Yeah.
Good vibes, high-frequency electromagnetic projections.
I like that. It turns positive thinking from a poster on a wall into a physics experiment.
That's the core of the Seth material. It takes the woo-woo and gives it mechanical gears. It explains how it works.
It's engineering for the soul.
I might steal that. So we've covered the synchronicities, the physics, the contagion, and the beer label. Is there anything in the notes that we missed? Any small detail?
There was that small detail about the telephone ringing.
Oh, with Dr. Instream.
Yes, Seth said. A telephone may be ringing at this moment in his immediate environment.
That's a classic verification test.
Right. It's binary. Either it's ringing or it wasn't.
The notes don't explicitly say if it was confirmed in the specific text, do they?
Not in the excerpt we have. But the confidence of the statement is interesting at this moment.
It implies Seth is there.
Or that Dr. Instream's timeline is accessible.
Time is another thing Seth messes with, right? He says past, present, and future are all simultaneous.
Simultaneous time. That's a whole other deep dive. But yes, if time is simultaneous, then hearing a phone ring 500 miles away is just a matter of looking in the right direction. It's like looking across a room.
Exactly. Space and time are just coordinates.
Man, it really makes you feel small, but also huge at the same time.
Small ego, huge self.
That's a good bumper sticker.
We are full of them today.
We are. Okay, seriously though, this session 193 is a real gem. It's got everything. It's got the humor, the science, the spookiness.
And it's accessible. You don't need a PhD to understand the beer label test.
But you might need a PhD to explain why it worked.
Touché.
I keep thinking about the envelope. The whole idea of hiding something to test the universe.
It's the scientific method. Rob was being a scientist. Hypothesis. Seth can read this. Experiment. Hide label. Observation. Data received.
It grounds the whole thing. It proves they weren't just blindly believing, they were testing him constantly.
And Seth loved it. He says, I am using fine manners this evening. Although I could indeed continue it indefinitely.
He likes showing off a little.
He likes the challenge. He likes proving that his reality is just as valid as theirs.
I have a structure and a form, although I do not exist in your space.
He wants to be seen, or at least understood.
Don't we all?
Even the disembodied entities.
Especially them. They don't have bodies to wave around. They only have their words.
And their chemical projection.
Right. So as we wrap up this extended discussion, what is the one thing you want the listener to walk away with? If they forget the beer label, if they forget the boat livery, what sticks?
For me, it's the no boundaries. The interconnectedness. The fact that we are not islands, we are waves in the same ocean.
That's beautiful
Yeah.
and terrifying, but mostly beautiful. What about you?
For me, it's the body molding. The idea that my dreams are shaping my physical health, that is a game changer for how I prioritize sleep.
It's not just rest, it's construction time.
Exactly. I'm going to the construction site tonight. I better bring good blueprints.
Well, on that note, we really are done this time.
I think so.
Thanks for hanging out with us in the Deep Dive Campfire Circle.
Keep projecting those good thoughts.
And watch out for sticky beer labels. They know everything.
See you next time.
Bye.